Yo, what's going on? This is Shaheem Reid. I'm here with the legendary Chill Will
Yes,
Get
sir.
Fresh crew.
All right. All right.
Uh,
That's what's up.
big up to the whole team. Today is the day that DJ made my day.
It's
Um,
going down.
we
Yep.
rocking. We rocking this afternoon, this evening, tonight. 5 hours plus. We rocking, man. And we got one of the guys that inspires so many people, including myself, to get out
Hmm.
there and get these stories from these big name artists, producers, and executives that we all know and respect and love. None other than one of our great pioneers, Fab
Yes,
Five
sir.
Freddy.
Yes, sir.
There we
Peace.
go.
What up?
Hey,
What
what's
up? What
up,
up?
man?
What up,
All right.
man? Chill,
What's up,
What's
Will.
yo?
up?
All right. What's good, man?
Out here, man. It's all good. I'm blessed and highly favored today, baby. Home in
Yes,
Harlem.
sir.
Healthy and happy to be here with you guys right now. This is a good look. What up,
No
Shaheem?
doubt, man. Fab, I gotta, this has been a phenomenal week for me because I've been able to have a chance to have some of my heroes on this channel, man. When I look at myself as a journalist, I got 20 years under my belt, man,
Wow.
and
Okay.
I gotta say, you were a great and still continue to be a great inspiration for me to do
Thank
what
you.
I
Man.
do, man. Like I used to, them days and them afternoons or even the nights when I had to set the VCR to tape it, man. You doing all of these groundbreaking interviews, man, and
Yeah.
it's been such a pleasure for me because we had Ralph McDaniels on. You
Ralph.
know,
Mhm.
I consider him the architect.
He is. Yes,
And
indeed.
Yeah.
we
Yep.
had a friend of yours, Ed Lover, on today too,
Okay. Wow,
a
Ed.
fellow
Mhm.
a fellow Queens guy, and you, man, I'm just proud to share this screen with you, and thank you so much, man. When I look back at you really going out into the trenches, that's
Mhm.
what really for me as a journalist, I said when I get on, I gotta really go out into the trenches with these guys
That's what
because
it is.
it's one thing to be in the control atmosphere, right? It's one thing
Hmm.
to be on the set, and
Hmm.
Ed and Dre, they did a fantastic job bringing people on the set, and it was really dope. But I look at the interviews, you and NWA on the back of the flatbed truck.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You going to Fifth Ward the first time I
Yep.
ever,
Right.
like when Fab was doing it, and Ed and Dre, and even D Barnes, man, I gotta give her props too.
Yeah.
D,
Mhm.
um, they was Fab was going out to the trenches, like he was really showing us all of the different parts of the world, man, because us being
Yeah.
kids growing up in New York, we
Hmm.
wasn't able to go to Compton at the time, or Fifth Ward, and the
Yeah.
music was just really exploding, where we wasn't so New York centric, because we had more than enough
Hmm.
MCs and DJs in New York to
Yeah.
hold us down.
For real.
Right.
But
Right.
Fab just
Exactly.
opening our eyes and exposing us to different parts of the country, man, was such a great
Mhm.
thing. And not just for hip hop, for black people, period. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yep.
Hmm.
Because a lot of black people, if you look and like the 80s, when
Mhm.
MTV Raps was really coming out and exploding, for a guy from Queens, we call going to Manhattan, that's going to the city. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
Right.
saying?
That's right.
That
That's
was a
right.
pilgrimage. It's a lot of people that ain't even leave Brooklyn. And it used to be so many clashes, Brooklyn versus Queens, and all of that, because a lot of us wasn't leaving our boroughs at the time, man. And
True.
Fab, you one of the ones that just was like, yo, hold up. You got to
Yep.
explore. These are your brothers and your sisters. They just in other parts of the country. So, you
Yeah.
Mhm.
know, I
Yeah,
can't
you
thank
showed
you
us that
enough.
there is hip hop in other places. Like, being
Yeah.
from New York, you don't even realize it's hip hop in Texas and California
True.
and
Yeah.
Florida. You be
Hmm.
like this, New York is the Mecca. So you think that it's all right here,
It,
you
it
know?
was. It was
Eh,
for a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
For a minute, but you
Yeah.
but you branched out. It was showing people everywhere. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Indeed.
That's what's up.
Thank you,
Hmm.
man. That's exactly a big part of that part of the legacy where I came into a lot of people's homes, sort of like the you know, how we doing now. But at that point
Right.
in time, that was one of the main windows. And I remember when I realized, like, okay, this show, Yo MTV Raps, is going to be national. And then later, soon after, it was international. A lot of people don't know it was one of the only shows that MTV made that was seen worldwide. MTV franchised their business out to Asia, Brazil, and Europe. But basically, I then knew that, well, it can't just be all about what's happening in New York. And I was like, well, what else is happening, you know, besides knowing that Philly, which I always looked at Philly as an extension of New York, almost like the sixth borough, because they had mad rappers, DJs with flavor that rocked with everything we did. And Schoolie D, 3 Times Dope, you know, different cats, of course. Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Will Smith and them, they was happening early on too. But we knew, like, I was like, wow, we got to find other stuff because we got the whole country. And then we began to get word that other things were happening besides Philly. The first time we traveled with Yo MTV Raps was to Miami to cover Luke. It was the 2 Live Crew at the time, which of course that type of music wasn't my cup of tea. But once we got there and I saw how much fun it wasn't all about lyrics, the stuff that we came up with. I'm like, they just having a good time out here, you know, laughing.
Exactly.
Said, now I get it. So that was a big thrill to look and see what was going on in other places and then to showcase the best of what that was, because I was just mad curious. That was the key secret sauce, if you will. Personally, was my personal curiosity about, well, what are y'all doing and how are y'all doing it and what's your inspirations and everything was really what got to come through with doing Yo MTV Raps.
Incredible. And of course, this festival is that DJ made my day. Fab, you know.
Yeah, perfect title. I love this so much. I was, oh man.
Yeah. I want you just to be our, you know, like you was doing on MTV Raps. I want you to be a tour guide for us a little bit today.
Yeah, I could do that.
Take us through, you know, your name being one of the names, you know, working with Blondie and them shouting you out and the DJs actually scratching your name. You know, that was so big at the time. And you got to tell us about that.
Oh boy, well, I'll tell you about that specifically. Growing up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, catching the early vibes of the first DJs that took it to the streets. They were known as disco DJs at this time. I'm talking like 1970s. And so as a shorty coming up at that time, older cousins and cool people, they went to parties at clubs that these disco DJs played at. And in the summertime, these DJs would come out and play parks, sometimes block parties and whatever. And so you heard these names. These guys were literally like stars. I'm talking names like Pete DJ Jones, Grandmaster Flowers, Maboya, Plummer. There's a long list of these guys that were superstar famous in New York City in the hood if you was plugged in. And so the idea of being a DJ and these parties that these guys gave was something that I would go to as a kid, going to the park jams, seeing the big sound systems. And really, in the beginning, it was no rapping. You might have a DJ talking a little bit or the guy on the mic bigging up who the DJ was or the DJ himself, but it was no real rhyming, but just the idea of keeping the music going from one record to another was a major revelation at that time, because really the inspiration was the idea of the DJ, let's not forget, a lot of people was to emulate that guy that was on the radio. That was the only DJ you knew or had heard about, the guy on the radio. DJ meaning disc jockey. And on the black side of it, the black radio DJs talked with a little jive, hipness. They had a little slang. And that was what inspired the whole genre, this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people just miss that. It's laying right there. And so the disco DJs had this ability to play the music, keep the records going end to end. And that was an exciting thing that I followed closely. Any opportunity I got as a teenager, once again, Bed-Stuy, going to 44 Park, Albany Projects, you know, Lafayette Gardens, different places where you'd hear on a hot summer night, DJs out, music, nothing to do, hop on a bus, walk, and just to be in the crowd of people is that classic story, breaking open the street light, plugging in the system, spinning until wee hours of the morning. So I had ideas, you know, that was a big inspiration to me. Along following that, I learned that there was something really different on the turntables coming out of the Bronx and Upper Manhattan that I got mad curious about. And as I got little pieces of that story, that inspired me to come up with an idea that became hip hop's first movie, Wild Style. Like, and myself was motivated to be a visual artist along with being a fan of this music. So I was one of them people that used to spray paint my name on the walls and trains. And I figured out, like, wait a minute, I see this as art form. Let me figure out how to flip this into art, like to be respected. And so that was a whole journey I was on. And I met these people on the punk rock scene, downtown Manhattan. And Blondie was coming out of that punk rock new wave scene. I was a young shorty, became cool with them. Here's what I'm trying to do. They were like, we like that. That sounds cool. I'm hipping them. Oh, there's new music going on. It's a whole new scene. So they dug it. That all led up to them getting inspired by the things I hipped them to, some old school party tapes. They went and made this record, Rapture, which I never thought was like, I first heard the record, I thought it was, I didn't really think it was a real record. I thought it was just something they did to play around in the studio. But that became a real record. And then they were like, we're going to make a music video. This is before music videos really happened. So the idea was like some rock groups used to do these videos just to send to TV shows that they couldn't appear on. David Bowie had did them. I remember hanging with Chris Stein. It was Chris Stein and Debbie Harry. They were the two core people in the group Blondie, and they would tell me like, oh, these other artists did these, so they wanted to do them too, but they wanted to be a little more creative with it. And then they had this idea to do the video for the first song off of that album called Rapture, where Debbie raps and gives me a shout out. So they set up the video. I had told them all about the culture, Flash, DJing, the whole thing. So I had met Flash and them because we working on making the movie Wild Style. And I was meeting all these different groups to set up to make movies. So I had called up Flash and said, listen, man, you know, I'm working with this group, Blondie. And I said, man, we doing a video. And he was like, what's that? I was like, yo, it's something new, but the videos hadn't happened yet. You know, cable hadn't happened yet. So Flash is like, I'm like, listen, please come, be a little bit of you. We're gonna pay you, but we want you to play a DJ because she mentions you on the record. Yo, Flash never showed up. Later, he would tell me, Fab, I really didn't believe you really knew them. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So we doing the video, so my man, another visual artist that was my homie at the time, rest in peace, his brother named Jean-Michel Basquiat, right? So Jean-Michel, we was all tight, hanging with them on this downtown scene, trying to make moves. Blondie was supporting what we was trying to do. She was helping us out, you know, giving us money, buying some paintings. So Jean was standing around. I said, listen, Jean, you will be the DJ. And he looked at me. I said, listen, just do this. And the thing was always so funny to me. I told Jean, just put your hand on the record and do this. You just, you know. John looked at me like I was crazy. And when the cameras start rolling, Debbie rolls up. She said, Fab Five Freddy told me, and she says that rap part just at the DJ, and Jean-Michel, he's just standing there with a smile on his face. Like, I'm like, dude, I told you to do it. He was like, whatever, man.
Brilliant.
And so that long ass story was how that whole thing came to be.
That was all good, man. That was all good.
You know, and that was a big record, because when they shouted me out, and then when people saw me in the video, like, once again, this was so early in the game, and I remember people. I'm still living at home in Bed-Stuy, and I remember people like, what was the show like used to come on TV on the weekends? I think Hot Tracks.
Hot Tracks.
New York.
With Carlos De
Jesus, right? So that was a show where the dude would come on, artists would be performed. He played the hot new records every Friday on regular TV, and he played this Rapture video, and people on my block, yo, that's him. I'm in the back making graffiti on the wall. That's what me and my man Lee Quinones, we was down. People thought I was rich. They had a whole weird, yo, you was on TV. I'm like, nah, but it don't work like that, B. I'm still taking the train. Like, what you talking about? Anyway, so that was the beginning of a whole lot of stuff for me, and people getting to hear my name and didn't know who I was. But it's funny when the Yo MTV Raps thing happened, people would be like, "Wait a minute, oh, that's who Blondie." And then I was like, they got a piece of that story. They was able to understand, you know.
Right.
What was it like? What was it like for you, Fab, to see the DJ? You know, obviously that was one point in time with Grandmaster Flash, but in the 80s, all of these great DJs kind of explode and come to prominence. Chill Will and Barry B.
Oh man.
Clark Kent with Dana Dane.
Oh yeah.
Jam Master Jay, of course. DJ Scratch, Jazzy Jeff, Spinderella.
Listen, I just have to tell you this. This is why I'm so excited about doing this. Having been connected and embedded in the culture, this is incredible, long, magnificent ride. The DJ has always been the foundation, the nucleus, what first pulled me in once again. So I've always had like an incredible respect and understanding of who really was at the nucleus that everybody revolved around. And that thing got bigger and bigger to where we are now, like 40 plus years in the game, B, and it's still the most dominant music thing in the world. And the DJ, oftentimes people don't understand or get it, but I never have not, you know, I've always understood that this is the key piece of this whole thing. So it's been real special, especially in this COVID period that we've been in now for damn near 10 months, almost a whole year. When everybody first got locked down, the IG Live thing with DJs was the thing for me. You know what I'm saying? Like mad DJs just spinning and then bringing it over to Twitch and DJs just doing sets and really giving us something was a great time frame. It was a great period for me getting to focus on DJs the way I used to do at a club if a DJ was nice. Like when I used to go out more. If a DJ was nice, after putting together a string, 5, 6, 7, whatever, however many records, I would be like, wait a minute, who's this cat spinning? Be like, what's going on? Like, cause I know when it's right, and I would then make it a point to go over and say, yo, I want to, yo, cause you know, DJ, I'm a step to him and be like, yo, listen, I just want to tell you, I'm Fab Five Freddy B, and you did an incredible set. I knew what it meant to DJs to just somebody to give them some love and some props.
And some acknowledgement,
acknowledgement. And so that's the point I was saying, Will, is the COVID period has made me lean in on DJs in a ways that I haven't done since clubs was popping. And you know, like in the 90s when it was 4, 5, 6, 7 clubs popping on any given night that you can bounce in and hear cats get busy.
All week long.
Yeah, all week long. You know, we took it for granted. And when cats was extra special, like I was always like, boom. Like, so I'm going to tell you a little story, right? like early 90s, we were working on, I'm one of the producers of New Jack City. And so one of my roles as a producer was making sure that real flavor, that real look, how your hat was broke, the right rings. I was over all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so there was a club in the Bronx at the time called the Castle. And
I remember the Castle.
Remember the Castle? The Castle was one of the like real raw Bronx hip-hop clubs. I think one night it was so raw up in the Castle, cats would be able to check their gun on the low at the coat check because you was a real dude. They were so like, they're like, all right, you put your burner, you know, you could check that along with your coat so you could dance, you had your joint. Yeah. The DJ that was the main DJ at the Castle was a cat by the name of Kid Capri.
Woo!
And I remember being up in there going, yo, like, who is this cat here? Like, he was ridiculous. He's doing phenomenal things. And I remember stepping to him, getting his info, and then turning his these cats that had a downtown party. I think it was called Powerhouse or Power Station. And these cats were some cool white dudes that was giving some underground hip hop parties. This was this period in New York when you had like Amazon and Payday and different places where real hip hop cats was coming and hanging, mixing with a downtown kind of white crowd, and it was a real cool energy. And I gave them Kid Capri's number. That became his first spot spinning downtown. And so that, of course, leads to Kid Capri becoming, because as soon as you heard him, everybody was like, wait a minute. So, yeah, that's just like, up. Special,
no doubt.
Special cats behind the wheels of steel always means the most to me.
Right. Incredible, man. Fab, thank you so much. New Jack City is my favorite movie, by the way, not just because you're on, but I'm a disciple of New Jack City, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for coming on. We got we gotta have you. Go ahead.
I got one more thing before we go, man. We gotta talk about change the beat.
Oh man, of course
come on, man.
Oh, that
come
was
on.
wow.
Yo,
thank
you
you.
Can't even be a DJ without
that.
And and you know the thing is, it's the whole song, but the end part went crazy. Everybody went crazy.
Yeah, that's been one of the blessings in my life. There's things that have happened along this journey, like you don't really ask for. They happen, and you just embrace that shit. Like in the beginning, what that meant, because okay, so it was Grand Mixer DXT that was the first one to use it on Herbie Hancock. Rocket. Okay, that becomes a humongous record. Not really a hip hop record, but a record with a strong element of DJing. One of the key elements of hip hop. And DXT, I put him in Wild Style. He's cutting Good Times at the finale of Wild Style. When I saw him do what he was at, like I tell you, when I see a DJ that's nice, I'm like, excuse me, son, I have to introduce myself. What is your name? What the fuck are you doing? Like, you just blowing my mind. That's how I met DXT. That's why he's cutting Wild Style in the end of the movie. And so we got tight. And when he got to work, because DXT is really a musician on the low. A lot of people understand.
He played keyboards, everything.
See, you know the real. And so Herbie had him as a musician, like a percussionist, if you will, to use the turntable in that way. That really is the beginning of turntableism. Grand Mixer, the first DST, then he changed it to DXT. He uses the final part of my record on Rocket, and that starts like almost a chain reaction of different DJs, because every hip hop crew had to have a DJ in the beginning of all this. So then you have UTFO on there, Roxanne.
Mixmaster Ice used it the most, like I think out of anybody.
Mixmaster Ice, Davey DMX. As people began to figure out ways of making hip hop music, putting them real elements in the record, my song became the element that most represented the idea of scratching. And that's this thing that at the end of my record, it's a record where I rap in French and English.
Right.
And the B-side, I got this female that taught me French to do my exact same lyrics. Because back then, your single, you'd leave your single as an instrumental when the beginnings of hip hop. You rap on one side and then the B-side be the instrumental. I'm like, I don't want to leave my instrumental. Let me put you on it. Her name became B-side. She was like, well, I got to have a cool name too. Call me B-side. You know, some cool shit. And at the end of my record, they took a clip of me going from one of the other takes where I've just finished. I was like, this shit was really fresh. And then they ran that through the vocoder and put the robotic sound where I sound like, this is really fresh.
Right.
And that becomes what I think they listed it as the most sample sound
That's the most, man. You have to touch that as a DJ. You have to.
Yeah,
that's like the log at the Apollo. Like you gotta touch that, yo. You gotta touch that.
That's an honor. So that's one of the many, many highlights that I was blessed to have happened in my life. And I knew then that every DJ, even before Yo MTV Raps kind of really put me on blast, I knew there was not a hip hop DJ who would not know about that record. So I would go to DJs and I would tell them, they'd be like, wait a minute, that's you? Like,
exactly.
On that record, that's you? Oh man, like I got mine right here. That's what cut that part of the record so much. Literally, I seen a couple of guys, you could hold the record up to the light. They had cut the actual groove. And you could see, because they would scratch it so much to cut that sound up. And I just also want to say, there's an incredible documentary. Once again, it lives on YouTube that tells the whole story of these early DJs that laid the foundation. It's called Founding Fathers of Hip Hop. And it's a good look at what led up to what Kool Herc did at Cedric and Cedar to really start hip hop. But what inspired him, and there's many, many DJs from different parts of the city that all are in this and tell the story, including DJ Hollywood. And the cast like that. Founding Fathers of Hip Hop on YouTube to get some of that early DJ history, y'all.
Right.
Incredible.
That's what's up, man. No doubt.
We got to get you to come back for like a whole hour, man. These stories are so
I got a bunch of them, and I'll chop them for y'all. I don't do this too often, but for you guys and Carly pulling this together, that's family right there. So this is great, baby. I'm at your disposal. Let me know.
Definitely,
bless you, man.
When you need me. Chill,
man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, bless man. My pleasure, man. Y'all doing a good thing, man. I'm gonna lay back and listen because y'all got it on locked on Twitch, baby. DJs saving everybody's life. Save them.